That's what Teddy's been watching over the break. You know, the little guy, he wants to get into his best shape for summer. What can I say? Hello and welcome to The Nerve at Night. I am your host, Maureen Callahan. We have so much to get to today. While we were away, Savannah Guthrie made her much anticipated and publicized return to the Today Show. Now, this week, she has been joined by emotional support vacuum, Hoda Kotb. No humiliation. Hoda won't suffer to stay in that seat. Craig Melvin is off on vacation. Rob Shooter is going to join us to talk about why this is such poor strategy on Craig's part. All the power moves going on behind the scenes over at the Today Show, plus an update on the gruesome twosome, Meghan and Harry, who invited themselves yet again to a party they were not invited to. Ben Affleck, latest on his divorce settlement with Jennifer Lopez and what he's willing to give up to be done with her, and a ton of other great and important celebrity reportage with the one and only Rob Shooter. He will be joining us imminently. Then I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what I did on spring break and the film that I saw that I was dying to see, and why I feel like you guys will get what I took away from it. And then we've got your feedback, and then we've got a nerve report from the streets of New York City on. Should I say who it is? It's a cultural and criminal offender who the Nerve is looking to put out of business. Okay, troublemakers, are you ready? Let's go. When it comes to quality over quantity and building a wardrobe of pieces that are well-made, versatile, and easy to reach for every day, Quint is the brand you are looking for. Their fabrics feel elevated. Their fits and cuts are thoughtful. The pricing makes sense. I love Quint. I have a beautiful sweater from them. I have a beautiful blazer and a couple of other pieces. And trust me when I tell you, they make beautiful everyday clothing using premium materials like 100% European linen, organic cotton, super soft denim, styles starting around $50. Their spring pieces are lightweight, breathable, and effortless. The kind of things that are the holy grail for all of us. You can throw them on and instantly you're put together. That same focus on materials carries over into their accessories, like their leather bags made from 100% hand-woven Italian leather. Honestly, they look way more expensive than they are. In fact, right here, I have my Quint's little jewelry box, my little black leather jewelry box that I carry with me to the studio so I can swap out jewelry if I feel like it. This thing feels luxurious and like fancy, and it did not cost much money at all. Quint works directly with ethical factories. They cut out the middlemen. You're paying for quality, not brand markup. So go and refresh your spring wardrobe with Quint. Spring shopping, so exciting. Go to quince.com/nerve for free shipping and 365-day returns. Now available in Canada too. Go to QUINCE.com/nerve for free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/nerve. Joining us now, the one, the only Rob Shooter of the must-subscribe Substack, Naughty But Nice. And we are all counting down the days to Rob's debut novel. It's coming out next week. And guess what I've got in my hot little hands? I've got a copy of the manuscript, which we're still printing out. This is how juicy this book is. Rob is going to be back at the Nerve next week for the exclusive interview on his pub day of the book's release. So mark your calendars for April 21st. It is also the Nerve's first birthday, inaugural book club meeting, Nerve's first birthday. Rob, welcome back to the Nerve.
Maureen, I desperately want you to like this book. I was like a little boy when I hit send. There's very few people in this business that I really admire. You are one. You are such a good writer. You are so damn smart. I want you to like it. I hope you do. I hope all the people watching enjoy it too. But I'm a little nervous. It's amazing. Like you do all this work and then you put it out there and you're like, oh, fingers crossed.
First of all, I'm so thrilled for you. I know I'm going to love this book. I haven't even had a chance to start reading it because there are so many offenders in the culture. You should see what an average Sunday looks like for me. But I've got to congratulate you, Rob. First of all, thank you for the very kind words.
Good.
But I've got to congratulate you. I saw that you have signed a 3-book deal, which by the way, as you know, a debut author, that is almost unheard of.
Yeah, I'm so grateful. And what it is the troublemakers and my friends and people that follow Naughty But Nice really came through. I did not know anything about the business of books. I'm a good writer. I love a good story. However, I didn't know the behind the scenes. And what I learned very quickly is that pre-sales are everything. So before a book even comes out, you really have to try and sell it. It decides the algorithm. It decides if you get a second book. It decides if you get a third book. So the pre-sales of this book have been so strong, thank you. They've been so strong that I've signed now a 3-book deal. But be careful what you wish for. Now I've got to do the work. Now I've got to write the books.
I know. But, if we're going to get anything nearly as juicy, I mean, we are all just waiting with bated breath. I can't tell you how many troublemakers I've heard from who have said, I've pre-ordered the book. I've got it on order at my local library. We're doing it in our little book clubs. Like it's amazing. So
Thank you.
First,
Thank you.
let's get to some real scandal and some real salacious stuff. And this, I think, would be it started with a whisper wheelhouse. Savannah returned to the Today Show while the Nerve was on spring break. Now, as discussed before we went on break, Craig is on a curiously timed vacation. Hoda, who, Rob, we were told it was made clear you're not welcome on Savannah's first day back. Now Hoda's back in the co-anchor chair, filling in for Craig. Now it's Savannah and Hoda like this, except last week on the Today Show, when Savannah came back, I think she really, really stuck it to Hoda. I think she really shivved her good because she's talking to someone on this couch on the Today Show, a woman named Kate Bowler, who more than once, if I'm saying her name right, I hope so, Savannah says to her, "You're such a dear friend of mine. You're such a good friend of mine. And you know what? If it weren't for us being such good, close, true friends, I would never have read a book called Joyful Anyway." Here we go. And then we'll talk about it on the back end.
Kate is also a very good friend of mine. Good morning. This is the book that I think I certainly need, but I think everybody needs. And when we talk about joy, let's make a distinction here. It's not toxic positivity. It's not happiness. It's not gratitude journaling. Joy is something different and deeper.
Rob, talk to me about what you know about the dynamics currently at play, and how dynamic are they actually? Like, are the power dynamics constantly shifting over there? Is Hoda now in and is Craig now out? What's going on?
Yeah, like every great story, like every great drama, like every high school, the dynamics change every hour, not even daily. And let me tell you what is the barometer of all television shows. It's the ratings. And so Savannah returned to the show. They were desperately disappointed that not thousands of people turned up on the plaza. I know they had extra security out there. They thought this was going to look like a Justin Bieber type concert. They thought that people were going to turn up. There was a decent amount there, but nowhere near the number they wanted. We don't have the ratings yet. Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? We don't have the ratings yet for her first show back. However, I've worked in the PR business and the entertainment business long enough to know that the shows have the ratings. Had Savannah got a monster rating, NBC would have put out a press release. It would have been sent out, welcome back, millions of extra people tuned in. They didn't. So I'm told from my insiders, when the numbers come out in about 2 or 3 days, they're soft. They're okay, but they're not great numbers. Now, Craig decides foolishly to go on vacation this week. It was scheduled. Spring break. He's going to be with his children. He has small children. It is such a dumb move because while Craig's away, if these numbers go up, Craig might not be returning. All they care about is ratings. Do they want Savannah to be happy? Of course they do. No boss wants anybody to be mad on their staff, but they would rather have a slightly upset Savannah sitting next to Hoda getting millions and millions of viewers than sitting next to someone she really loves. I really dug deep on this one. I knew we'd get into this today. And so I called everybody over at the Today Show who have not booked me for my book this time. They did last time. I know. I'm okay. I'm a big boy.
Is it because you're a troublemaker, Rob?
I think it is. I think I've got the scarlet letter on my forehead.
Well, look at what it did for you. You're going to be a New York Times bestseller, my friend. You don't need the Today Show.
I'm not complaining. I am not complaining. But I
know you're not.
Everybody over there. And they said, what happened was actually Matt Lauer's problem. What happened at the Today Show is Matt got sick of sitting next to Savannah. He didn't really like Savannah that much, and she annoyed him and she interrupted him. And so Matt slowly promoted Hoda. He would bring Hoda into the first 2 hours. And that, I'm told, is the friction. That's where this broken relationship really exploded. It was Matt really giving Hoda her flowers and ignoring Savannah. It caused a ton of tension. I know Savannah was really angry when they first started hosting together, that Hoda has a much bigger social media following than Savannah. In fact, there were a couple of people on staff at the Today Show, and their job was to get Savannah's numbers up on social media to compete with Hoda. And then let's not forget, when Matt Lauer did get fired, when he was pushed out the show, rightly so, gone overnight, Savannah didn't want Hoda. She wanted Willie Geist. The first replacement for Matt Lauer was not Hoda, it was Willie Geist. And the audience rejected it. And they had to make a decision above Savannah's head. We talk all the time that Savannah's the boss of NBC News, that she's very powerful. That is true. But there is an executive suite there. And they want to keep Savannah happy, no doubt. All they care about is ratings. And if this week they do really, really well, Craig could be in a lot of trouble.
I think Craig is going to be in a lot of trouble. It's so fascinating, the whole thing. You know, when you were just talking about the way Matt was bringing in Hoda to, you know, just give it to Savannah and begin to ice her out if he could. And then Matt gets fired. Like NBC unceremoniously dumped him. They talk. You're so right about the press release thing, by the way. If Savannah's return had been that huge, it would have been a press release for the ages. Yeah. You know, you're welcome so home. Right.
Yeah. And some people could say it might look gaudy. They don't care about that. They've done a Dateline special. They've covered Nancy ad nauseum. Like nobody, I would argue, have covered, or some would say exploited, this situation more than NBC. I think the other networks have been more restrained. So my friends that say NBC wouldn't do that because they're frightened of optics, I'm saying NBC has dug deep here. They are making their anchors wear yellow pins. There's flowers in the plaza. And so there is no shame on television. They just don't have it. Had these numbers been great for Savannah, we would have had a welcome home press release sent around the world. We didn't get it. So I'm told the numbers were not great. Then foolishly, Craig, who's a sweet guy, not the most savvy guy. I've been around Craig. He's a very nice guy, but he doesn't have sharp elbows. He doesn't play the game. He's not out there really exploiting, enjoying being the host of the Today Show. If I was the host of that show, Maureen, you and me would have free dinner every night. I would play it up to the hills. I would really.
For real. We absolutely, you're so right about Craig is not compelling. Craig is not compelling. He is not somebody you want helping set the tone for your day. And he really should take a note from Hoda. What is he doing hanging out with his own kids? Those losers. What have they done for him lately? She dumped her kids up in Westchester to run back to Studio 1A. Craig. Okay, we've got to move on to Harry and Meghan, who this weekend, oh my God, I saw this, Rob. I thought of you. I thought of you immediately and Mark Bowden. So Prince Harry and Meghan Markle went to a private party for the premiere of season 2 of Beef on Netflix. I thought season 1 was highly overrated. And Ted Sarandos, who we most recently learned via Variety's expose, allegedly, reportedly said, I will not get on the phone with Meghan without my lawyer on the other line. He denies it. They were there, Ted and his wife, Nicole Avant, and Harry and Meghan was all over those two. All over those two. And Meghan also wore the same color dress that the Knight's star Carey Mulligan, the British actress Carey Mulligan, was wearing. It's almost like a puce green. It's a very specific color. And you cannot tell me she didn't get the fucking memo and do that to try to steal Carey's night.
Yeah, it's all about knowing your moment. And I think you don't have to be an actress or a celebrity to know this. I know my moment. When it's a friend's birthday party, it's their day. It's their party. If I'm lucky enough to have a friend in a hit TV show, I know a few actors, it's their party. Meghan and Harry do not know how to read a room. I hit the phones and my sources tell me they really insisted that they attend this party. They knew this party was happening and they reached out to Netflix. They were not necessarily invited automatically.
Another event where they get on the phone and they say, hey, don't you want me there? No, you dumb twat. If they wanted you there, your invite would be in your email inbox.
It is, but it is very difficult to say no. And so they were sort of tolerated at this party. How bad could they be? I'm told when she stepped out in that dress, it is so specific. The color is so vibrant. It is such an unusual color. I don't even know if I could name that cover. I'm not even sure if my friends at Vogue could name that cover. It's a very, very, very...
Does Pantone have a swatch? We don't know.
So they turned up at this party. She's wearing the same dress, the same color dress as the star. And then she throws herself, which is a real Meghan Markle trick, around the most important person in the room. It's not Ted, it's his wife. Meghan can sniff out, even though they can't read a room, Meghan knows how to find the most important person in the room. The photo is so uncomfortable. She's hugging her, they're holding hands. She's so over the top about this. We know from Kris Jenner that Meghan's very specific about photographs at parties. She made Kim and the Kardashians remove her picture from the party celebrating Kris's birthday. So this was an instance of Meghan, what I'm told, and I love this expression, Meghan love bombed the Netflix team, but it went further than that. The next day, she sent a gift basket. She's been sending notes. She has learned early on in her career that by being what she considers charming, I would say annoying, it has got her places. Let's not forget, this is somebody who turned up at the Wendy Williams show, unannounced, rang the doorbell, got up to their offices on the 6th floor and pitched herself as a fashion correspondent. It didn't work with Wendy. It worked with Matt Lauer. And there's a lot of rumors there. But she turned up at the Today Show and she got herself a fashion job. Wasn't invited, wasn't told to come in and audition, wasn't told to come in for a meeting. She does stuff herself. And so I'm told she has been love bombing the boss, the people important, the boss's wife. Let's see what happens here. Netflix is in a really tricky position. They just want us to stop talking about her. They want this over. And she's like that bad penny who won't quite go away. And I think with a bully and somebody who doesn't have any boundaries, they only understand yes and no. Netflix have given her a maybe. You're not really got a deal, but you have a first look deal. It's sort of like this maybe. People like Meghan don't hear maybe. They hear yes or no.
I agree. And I think that this is This is exactly, they're the architects of their own misery here.
Yeah.
You know, Ted Sarandos can say no to Meghan fucking Markle. He can and he should. When you have a photo that, and to your point that Meghan is so specific about what photos get released at private parties, there's a photo of the four of them, and Meghan is standing next to Ted's wife, and Ted's wife is like this. It's like Anna Wintour with Chloe Mao. It's like, get the fuck away from me. It's so, but she doesn't see it as embarrassing at all.
No.
She's in a photo with power players, you
Yeah.
know? It's wait till they go to Shitball Beach, Rob. Wait. Okay. Ben Affleck. I got to talk to you about Ben.
I love this story.
Again, I love this item. I love this story. This is your exclusive. Ben Affleck is ready to lose or to pay out. I don't know how the math works, but he's going to be $30 million poorer just to be done with Jennifer Lopez this time around anyway.
Yeah. When people say how much is peace of mind worth, we now know, Maureen, it's worth 30 million.
It's worth about 30 million to Ben Affleck. Yeah,
it's worth.
they say sometimes the best money you'll ever spend is to make a person or a problem go away.
Well, we know
Ben's clearly had this lesson.
He has, and it's costed him 30 million. So when they got married for the first time, they didn't get married when I was working with Jennifer. They dated, they were engaged, but they were never married. So when they got married a couple of years ago, one of the first things they did was decide to blend their families together, and they bought this monstrosity. It's huge, this $60 million really ugly home.
It makes Aaron Spelling's old mansion where Candy had like a gift wrapping room look like a charming New England cottage.
It does.
Fully modest, you know.
It does. It does. I was told this house was up for sale for a really long time. Nobody wanted it.
It's a white elephant. Nobody wants to spend $60 million for a house with 14 bathrooms. It's ridiculous.
They bought it as a show palace to their love. This was their Versailles. Let's
The
go.
Taj Mahal.
This was
Beverly
their Taj. That's a better example. This was their Taj Mahal. Well, the marriage didn't last, but the house they are stuck with. I'm told they paid cash. They did not have a mortgage for this. I don't know if they split it 50-50. We don't have those details. But we do know now is that they cannot sell it. They have reduced the price of it. They still cannot sell it. And Ben is just sick of it and has said, you have it. Just you take it over. We're not sure how much money he put in. If they split it 50-50, it's about 30 million each. But just can you imagine that? Can you imagine that you really want to cut the cord that much that you're willing to do this? But just imagine the text and the emails that Jennifer sent to him, like, we've got a viewing today at 3, and can we do, like, they just want this over. He just wants it over, and now we know how much money he is willing to put up to get rid of Jennifer Lopez once and for all.
Listen, I'm just going to call it like I see it, because I saw those images of her at Coachella.
Oof.
Hanging with the fellow kids at Coachella. This woman's almost 60 years old. This slag in like her, you know, bedazzled bodysuit that's like cut up to like above her hip bones. She's like, I'm still sexy, right? You still like Ben's cutting me loose and taking a $30 million hit in order to do so. That's how desperate he is. But she's got to get up on stage at Coachella to prove her viability in the marketplace, sexual, commercial, what have you.
She was so smart, Ori. She was at Coachella. It did stand out a little odd, didn't it, that she was there. And so, but she's probably celebrating. She just got a big gift from Ben. When I worked with her, I remember I used to get press calls asking if Jen had given the ring back. He bought her $1 million engagement ring the first time.
It was that pink diamond, right?
That's right. And she didn't give it back. So she's not only got the house, I think now she has 2 engagement rings and a wedding ring. Jennifer, you're making more money on this relationship business than on show business. A nice day of work, $30 million, just because you're that big a pain in the bottom your ex is willing to pay to go away. Normally with these celebrity divorces, I was thinking about Brad and Angelina fighting over Chateau Mirabella. It's money. They don't want to lose money. They want their money back. Ben's the opposite. Celebrities are often very cheap. And Ben is the opposite. Or she is that annoying, that needy, that desperate that he said, take it. I want nothing more to do with you. Take it.
Well, also in terms of the cheap versus the the spendthrift. It's the line has always been, the stories out of Vegas have always been that Ben is an enormous tipper.
Yeah.
He is a very generous tipper. And that whenever he's been with Jennifer Lopez and she's been with him at those casinos, she'll walk right back and take that money out of a dealer's hand, a waitress's hand, and say that was way too fucking much, you know? So it totally tracks that Ben would be like, have it. 30 million, I don't care. My peace of mind is worth, and it totally tracks that she would take it. She took it.
She took it.
Instead of saying, you know what, that's not cool. This thing costs $60 million. You work hard for your money. I work hard for my money.
Right.
You keep it.
Yeah, you're so right. You know, some people would say, like, I understand you don't want to be involved in the sale. It's a pain in the ass when you sell a property, but they have got good people doing it. Let's be clear here. Jennifer is not answering the door and showing people around the house. However,
it's like Josh Flagg.
Jennifer, I would say, can you imagine what she would wear? She might. Maybe that's the reason she's not selling it. And so I would say to Ben, like, listen, I'll deal with all the selling and you can pay me back those expensive. But when we sell it for $60 million, here's a check. No. She will not give a check. When she finally sells this house, she will eventually. There's going to be somebody vulgar enough, particularly in LA, who's going to buy this home. There will be. We've seen these celebrities. They're just so awful. Mariah Carey will buy it, or somebody will buy this at some point. She will make the money. Do you think she will cut him in? Yeah.
Okay, now to Diddy, who has there's a chord here. Between Diddy and J.Lo and Ben, because I believe that Ben decided to cut J.Lo loose right after Diddy was arrested. We do believe that the feds tipped him off. You know, there was that sighting of like FBI agents on his block, and then we were later told, oh, they were just doing a routine check in like one of the wealthiest zip codes in America. I don't think so. Anyway, you have another exclusive that Sean Diddy Combs's family is planning a welcome home party. He's not even out of prison yet. His lawyers petitioned the court on what I think is a flimsy First Amendment rationale that those videos and those freak-offs were just First Amendment speech. I think the Cassie video tells us otherwise. But Rob, my question for you is, in the party planning for Sean Combs, who is in charge of getting the lube?
Somebody hopefully with a very large expense account and U-Haul truck. We know he likes his lube. So you're right, Maureen.
Big oil.
That's right. I hit the phones, and you would think after the freak-offs and all we've heard about these parties, the last visual they'd want is a party, but they don't care about that. There's going to be a massive party. The family are really confident. I've spoken to sources really close to the family, and they think that these charges will be dismissed. They think that they really are confident about it. Now, we should point out too that the Combs family have been exceptionally lucky throughout their lives to live the way they live because of the money that he has provided. So often I find my very wealthy friends, it's not that they pick a good option, they had no bad options. And so the Combs family here is stunned because he got away with this for a really long time. He didn't just do one bad thing and get caught. We're talking decades ago and years of bad behavior. So I almost understand the mentality here. If you get away with something for a long time, you think you are invincible. They think that he is still invincible. He pays for everybody in the family, the children, the mom, the cousins, they're all on the payroll. And so while he's been away, they've been living this life in his mansion. Some sources told me, I did laugh, that some of his family members are actually quite happy that he's away in jail, because while he's away, they get to roam free around all his $1 million properties. They've moved into the house. He's coming back. There's going to be a boss at some point. The question is when. I'm hoping it's going to be later rather than sooner, but you never, ever know. I've seen so many judges, so many people in the legal system really be bedazzled by celebrity, really being impressed. There does sometimes appear to be two justice systems. And so I would not be surprised. I'd be upset, but I wouldn't be surprised if Puffy's not out sooner rather than later.
I wouldn't be surprised either. And I would be shocked if he did not get right back to it. He's going to get right back to it. I'm shocked. What I'm waiting for, Rob, is the Law and Order SVU, Special Victims Unit, about the Diddy case. They did it once before when he and J.Lo were in that nightclub shooting. That's a famous SVU. Why have they not done one?
Why have they not done? That's a really good question. I don't know. That's a really, really good question. Let me hit the phones and see if I can find out what's going on there. I think that they tape so far in advance that this story is changing so much. So maybe that's one of the reasons here. But it's a really good question. I don't know why they haven't been all over this. I don't know why the miniseries hasn't been made. I don't know why the Lifetime movie hasn't been made. There's still a fear around Puff. Like that. Let's be honest here. This is a man who's violent, who's dangerous. We've seen it. We saw the testimony. He got away with a lot of it, but that does not mean we didn't see what we saw. We saw the Cassie tape. This is someone who'll beat up his girlfriend in a hallway of a hotel. Like, if you do that, you're a really dangerous person. Cassie testified that he set fire to one of her boyfriend's cars, that he tried to
Cuddy. Who, by the way, I was just walking by the Garden the other day, and he's like performing at the Garden. He's having a career resurgence.
Good for him. I'm glad there's some silver lining to this ugliness. But I do predict, you heard it here first, troublemakers, Puff's going to get out sooner than we think. And when he gets out, Maureen said it first, he's going to go right back. If your first thing when you come out of jail is to throw yourself a white party, it really, shouldn't you be doing some good or some charity work or laying low or trying to rebuild your relationship with your family? Forget your business. No, there'll be a big party. And we've seen Hollywood already change on this pivot. Usher did a story where he defended Puff. He said recently, he did an interview where he said that he implied that there was some racism here, that Puffy had been convicted under the Mann Act, which was a racist statute. And so people don't have to say this. Usher is a big enough star that when he does interviews, he can say no Puffy questions. Anna Wintour's saying that.
Fuck Usher. We just talked about Justin Bieber confronting him at Beyonce's Oscar party. And in sum and substance, basically saying, you didn't protect me. We all know what he's talking about.
We do.
Fuck Usher. Fuck that guy.
Okay. Let me just finish on the Diddy though before we move on, because I think this is going to be delicious too. I'm told from reporters, from friends of mine who get invited to cover the Met Ball, you can't just turn up there with a camera. You have to be credentialed to get on the steps, and they barricade it off. I've been a couple of times, and the security is really, really extreme. When you see them walking up the steps and you see all those press people there, don't be fooled. They are invited press. I'm told this year that they've been told no Diddy questions. Diddy's verdict, Diddy's new sentencing could come out just before the Met Ball. It's going to happen quite soon. And they are terrified that someone's going to say to Anna, what did you know? When did you know it? So no Diddy questions at the Met Ball.
Great. That's what the Nerve is for. They keep clearing this lane for us, leaving it wide open. We're coming through. We're ramming through like a Mack fucking truck. Two more quick items. I love this one, Rob. Another exclusive. When do you sleep? Patrick Schwarzenegger, jealous as half-brother Joseph Baena rises. Now, Joseph Baena is the child that Arnold had with the family maid.
Mildred.
And it was only when Joseph turned like 12, he was always at the house, that, and this is Kennedy wife conditioning for you, allegedly, reportedly, that Maria Shriver turned to her husband and said, this kid looks like your carbon copy. Do you want to tell me something? And big Christians that they are, Maria Shriver has a whole spiritual side hustle going on with her publishing imprint, her magazine, her bullshit, whatever she's got.
She does.
They don't speak to this child, and they exclude him from everything. And this child did nothing wrong. Yeah. He is now clearly the apple of his father's eye. He just won a major bodybuilding competition, And your sources say that Patrick is actually taking umbrage with this.
Yeah, he's really jealous. He's not jealous that his dad is spending more time with his half-brother. They don't care about that. What he's jealous of is the half-brother is getting press. If you know anything about the Kennedy family.
That's what matters.
Yeah, and you know the Kennedy family is better than anybody. It's about publicity. It's about who's getting attention. He has just won a second major bodybuilding award. If you see the pictures of him, I mean, they're magnificent. It looks ridiculous, but he's there in a little underwear posing.
He looks like a young Arnold.
He looks like Arnold. He looks the spitting image of Arnold, and to his credit, he's worked out. He's done the work. I'm told he's at that gym. You don't, even if you've got the DNA of a bodybuilder, even if you've got great DNA, you've still got to work at it. He's done the work. He hasn't taken any shortcuts. He's done the work. He looks incredible. I'm told that he's the hardest working out of the whole family. That must come from his mom's side, from Mildred's side. And Arnold, who's not the most interesting guy in the world, linguistically, he still has some issues. He loves this son being in the gym. That's Arnold's world. If you put a son in a gym with Arnold, they're going to bond. Me and my dad struggled to find something that we could connect over. And so I think Patrick and his dad have never been that close. He's not that interested in what Patrick is doing. Arnold doesn't care about the White Lotus. He cares about Mission Impossible. He cares about action movies. He's far more friendly with Chris Pine. Chris, who's the Chris that's married to the Schwarzenegger? He's far more interested with Chris
Pratt.
Chris Pratt, who does the Jurassic Park movies. And so I'm told Arnold finally has a really good relationship with one of his children. It just happens to be the child that he had with the maid. And so this has caused enormous tension. Once again, let me be clear. I really dug deep on this one. It's not the father-son relationship that Patrick is jealous of. No, it's the attention. After White Lotus, Patrick thought he was going to become a superstar. He thought scripts would be rolling in. They haven't. He's really struggling. Financially, he's doing great because he's making liquor commercials. He's making money doing TV commercials, but it's not what he wanted from his career. He's pea green with jealousy. And then this makes me just giggle, one little button on this. After bodybuilding, guess what the half-brother is interested in doing next? Movies.
Is it action movies?
It's action movies. He could succeed. Patrick's going to explode.
Patrick is like, there's going to be brain matter all over the walls. Like, you know, that's a very tasteless joke given what happened to JFK. I didn't mean that. But this is so fascinating because it kind of loops back into what we were talking about at the very beginning with, why is Craig hanging out with his kids on spring break? Hoda just moved right in there. She ditched her kids. It's like with these people, being in front of a camera or getting attention or your level of fame and relevance is the most important thing. Family, not even a close second. Patrick doesn't give a shit that his father's spending more time with the son that they don't even pay attention to. No, he's just upset that his career's in the shitter. And this kid is on the rise. And I'm sure like Arnold's own narcissism is just so fed by having a son who looks like him, who basically wants to be him, who wants to use his template, who needs his advice and encouragement. And bodybuilding, by the way, it's not just the time in the gym. It's the full body waxing, which is very painful. It's the being tan. Like it's this whole, it's a lot.
The diet, everything. A friend of Patrick's told me, and I did giggle. They said, had the half brother not won the bodybuilding competition, he wouldn't have cared less. It's the fact that he would have got all this attention. Had he been a bodybuilder that, struggled, Patrick couldn't care. But the minute he started to win, the minute people started to talk about this kid, that's when Patrick got nasty.
There's a new star in the family, Patrick. So move on over. Our last item, Rob, Blake Lively, Justin Baldoni. Now, the Daily Mail has an exclusive that the verdict is already in Hollywood. No one is shedding tears. Radar had a report today that Blake Lively is considered dead in Hollywood. Justin has signaled that he is ready to take the stand and testify on his own behalf. And People magazine just reported that Blake has put her husband, who we here at The Nerve call and know as the psycho-arsonist Ryan Reynolds, on her witness list. What do you know?
Yeah, this is really, really getting messy. While we were taking a break, a judge pretty much gutted this lawsuit. This is a very different lawsuit now. And so my insiders are telling me that Ryan and family and professionals, lawyers, are begging Blake to stop. There's nothing to win at this point. Even if she won this in a couple of weeks, she's lost everything. She's lost her career, she's lost her best friend, and she's also put her husband into a very difficult position too. Arguably, he's done that himself, but they're finally figuring out after months, after really years of this ongoing trial, that the only people who are going to win are the lawyers. And so she has blown up her career. She's untouchable. Like, she didn't do much acting, but she made a ton of money selling products. Her whole business model has disappeared. I think that she has proven to everybody, ironically, while complaining that there was a smear campaign against her that painted her as a bully, her reaction to that has proven she is a bully. She's gone after bloggers. She's gone after people in the media. She's demanded records, she's demanded sources. She's behaved really, really badly. If you knew nothing about Blake Lively's past, we do, but if you didn't, I get it. She's not Angelina Jolie. Over the last 6 months, she's shown us who she is, and every step of the way, it's been really messy, really ugly. I don't see how she bounces back from this, and I think Ryan now is cutting his loss. I think he's figured out, we got to stop this. Like, there's one career in the family that's over. Maybe we can salvage my career, Ryan's career, but I'm not even sure that's true, and they only have themselves to blame.
You know, Rob, I don't think we've seen someone blow up their career like this since Katherine Heigl took a huge shit all over every person who gave her a job and made her a star. Shonda Rhimes at Grey's Anatomy. Was it Judd Apatow who did
the movie with her, the rom-com with her? Yeah, she did. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, she blew it up, and now she's doing ads for incontinence and for like cat food. That's where she's at.
But Blake Lively's going to be there too. If Blake didn't have Ryan's money behind her, but Blake would be there. And I just don't understand why. I get being stubborn and I get believing in something, but when all the evidence is pointing in a different direction, when your own legal team, when the judge has basically said, you're wasting my time. This is rich people problems. There's no crime here. You're just clogging up the courts. Settle this. He called them into his chambers to settle it. Justin Baldoni would settle it. She won't settle it. And that ego, that entitlement has ruined her career, potentially ruined her husband's career, and she still won't get out of it. Get out of this. If this goes to court and she takes the stand, it's going to be delicious for us, for the Nerve. We're going to watch this. Can you imagine what she's going to be like on the stand? She can't help herself. This is someone that's mean to reporters. This is someone that's mean to fans. It's all come out, and she is the reason that we now know so much about Blake Lively.
You know, it's just it really goes to a huge reason the Nerve exists, and sort of pulling back to see the architecture of the celebrity industrial complex. And, you know, Hollywood and the mainstream media, they build these monsters. Like, to your question, why won't she listen to anybody? Because she's only heard yes, Blake, yes, and what would you like up until now. She's a creation of this very, very, very dark system that is the same reason Harvey Weinstein keeps appealing. He gave that interview to the Hollywood Reporter. It's out. We don't understand.
Yeah, we're the problem. Yeah, it's really gaslighting at a national level, at a level that's unseen, unheard of. The difference is, though, is that we've got your number. We know. We've seen this. And so when you're losing, stop digging a hole. She won't. She's going to keep going here. But I think this is a perfect example of how to really destroy your career in less than a year. This is going to be messy. It'd be better for everybody, I think, if it went away. But I'm not convinced it will.
I'm not convinced it will either. And that's why I'm going to throw up the bat signal the minute court is in session. Rob, we love you. We will see you back here next week for our inaugural book club. It started with a whisper. If you haven't pre-ordered it yet, go get it on Amazon and be part of the conversation. We love you, and we will see you very soon.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you. Take care, naughties. Take care, troublemakers.
Oh my God, that went long, but we needed a real proper catch up with Rob. It's been a week. A lot has happened. Coming up, Troublemaker, feedback, art, photos, and the Nerve went out into the field. We sent a couple of agents undercover. They are not four-legged canines. Teddy and Trouble have been resting during the break, but we infiltrated a celebrity event here in New York City, and we have got the footage to show you. We will see you in a minute. A lot of skincare companies are out there purporting wholesome, natural products. The trouble is, most of the big names out there are owned by mega corporations and private equity firms that prioritize profit over quality. Fortunately, one company is doing things differently, and that's Van Man. They started the tallow trend a few years back with their grass-fed tallow moisturizers, and they've been crushing it ever since. I love, love, love their products. Tallow makes for a great moisturizer because the fatty acids are nearly identical to the oils in your own skin, so your body actually recognizes it. One use and you will feel the difference. Plus, there are no chemicals, no filler, and a little goes a long way, so you get real bang for your buck. Tallow Balm isn't just a moisturizer. It can replace your lotion, night cream, wrinkle cream, even Neosporin and diaper balm. It's powerful enough to heal the skin, yet safe enough to spread on your toast. Those are real ingredients. If you are ready to ditch the corporate chemicals, go to vanman.shop/Maureen. Use code Maureen for 15% off your first order. That's Maureen for 15% off your first order. Van Man, real ingredients, no exceptions. We are back. Now, before we get into the best part of any Nerve, Troublemaker feedback, I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about, this was a goal I had set for myself. It's the state of movie going and movies is so grim. It's like if you want to see a first run film in a movie theater, especially one made for IMAX, you need to do it in like the first 48 hours or you are shit out of luck. I spent days trying to find a movie theater that was still showing Elvis, epic, Elvis Presley in concert, directed by Baz Luhrmann. And I finally did. Those of you who follow me on Instagram know I found one of my favorite things to do is go to the movies on the middle of a weekday with nobody in there. It was this really old theater. It was like over 100 years old. It was the only film playing. It was dark. It was quiet. It's like church, watching Elvis Presley for 90 minutes. It was amazing. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the film, but first I want to show you a little clip. This is Wayne Newton talking about a song that he wrote called The Letter. I'll never forget seeing Wayne Newton back when MTV Cribs was like a thing. Cribs, if you're unfamiliar, it was the show where MTV would send these camera crews to the homes of rock stars, rap stars. It was kind of like MTV's version of Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous. And they did Wayne Newton once. And I remember watching the segment where he showed off a framed handwritten letter he had belonging to Elvis Presley. Elvis had written it towards the end of his life. And I'll never forget Wayne reading it and how moved by it he was. And back then, we know so much more about the machinery of star making and fame and the costs of it than we did even then when Wayne did that episode of Cribs. But I remember feeling like he opened, like he sort of broke open the door a little bit for us to see what the cost of doing business really is at that level. Not for everyone, of course, but Elvis was one of a kind. Anyway, this is Wayne talking about the inspiration for that song, The Letter, on a TNN interview. This is from October 29th, 2009. Here we go.
The story is, Ralph, that in 1976, in Elvis Presley's last appearance at the Las Vegas Hilton, by his bed he had a little notepad, and he wrote some words down. He wrote actually kind of a message to God and to himself, and crumpled it up and threw it in a waste paper can. And one of his guys evidently retrieved it, kept it. About 7 or 8 months ago, this note showed up in a Sotheby auction sale. And some people called me knowing of my friendship with Elvis. And when I heard what the note said, it just tore my heart out, and I bought it. Somehow that got out, and Elvis fans from around the world started to write me wanting copies of this letter, of this note. So that's when we decided to write a song around it. And so we did. So that's the story of the letter.
All right, with the exception of what was in the letter.
I'm paraphrasing, of course, but it said, I'm finally alone. I'm glad they're all gone now. I probably won't rest tonight. I have no need for all of this. Help me, Lord.
Do you think he was addressing his fame, show business, that sort of thing?
I think he was addressing his loneliness.
Help me, Lord, was the line that really grabbed me by the throat, This man who changed the culture of the Western Hemisphere. Wayne, I think, was dead on about his loneliness. Peter Guralnick, in volume 2 of his Elvis biography, Careless Love, The Unmaking of Elvis Presley, he gets to Elvis's loneliness too. The Baz film, though, is fascinating because so this film is composed of footage that had been buried, literally. It was under salt mines in Kansas somewhere in climate controlled warehousing. And he found it and restored it with the help of Peter Jackson, who had done that for the Beatles. For that, I think it's a 4-part Apple special. And so you're basically this is a time capsule. And when watching this, you are transported. You're an audience member in Vegas in the late 60s and early 70s. And it is wild. And you see the famous people who are coming to see Elvis. And it really captures Elvis as a true artist. People talk about the Vegas era, which was right, that's his third act before Elvis dies. And people often talk about Vegas Elvis as fat Elvis, as the Elvis who just completely lost the plot, but not so. Baz restores Elvis's dignity, Elvis as a true artist, Elvis as a guy who was trying to move with the times, Elvis as a guy who still suffered from stage fright, Elvis as a guy who's mixing backstage after a show and is so sociable and so approachable. And it's incredible. And you see him working out a set and songs, and you see him working out covers of the Beatles, the Simon and Garfunkel, the folk explosion, all of this. It gets into his love of spirituals and gospel music, which he really came back to in the later part of his career. Watching it, I thought, so there's this one scene where Elvis would give these press conferences, and he was asked about would he go back to movies, and he was like, if I could find somebody who kind of knew what to do with me, my movies are terrible. And the reporter was like, what do you mean your movie? Like, everybody knew Elvis's movies were terrible. They were all terrible. And I'm watching this and I thought to myself, you know who would have known what to do with Elvis and was born just a little too late? Had Elvis lived? Quentin Tarantino. Quentin Tarantino would have known exactly what to do with Elvis Presley. And I think Elvis would have loved Quentin Tarantino. Baz also had like trouble ending the movie. There were 5 different points where I thought, oh, this is the end, this is the end, this is the end. And I could be projecting, but I recognize this as someone who's in love with their subject and like is having some trouble letting go. And, you know, when I was writing Ask Not, I was going through a very similar thing. I was having trouble letting go of these women and these stories. And you can see it in the book, like the book ends and then there's like a chunk of back matter that's like, oh, and here's a little bit more on them in case you didn't know. And then there's another back part that's like, and here's a little bit more about how I came to find all these people. And it's just, that's how you know somebody has really crafted, you know, a labor of love. And Baz is showing a version of Elvis. This is a version. The Goralnik version, those who were around Elvis in that third act of his life, it got pretty dark. But this version of Elvis, this is the joyful warrior. This is the artist at yet another stage of his career where he is as invested as he was from the very beginning. And there was a press conference where it kind of like, it reminded me, I forgot this, but I knew it because I've read so many biographies of Elvis, that he started as a truck driver, you know, and my dad was a truck driver. And so I just, you know, there's something about Elvis is America. Elvis is America. Elvis could only have been born and made in America. It's so true. And Baz also ends it. He has Bono reading this like poem as like a coda to the Elvis movie. And I was always very moved as well by Bono and his love for Elvis Presley. If you've seen Rattle and Hum, the U2 documentary, I think the best offstage part is when they go and they visit Graceland and you see Larry Mullen Jr., the drummer, standing at the grave of Elvis Presley. And anyway, it's incredible. That's my little Elvis bit. Okay, now on to your feedback. It has been too long, my friends, too long. Hi, Maureen, I saw the website for Meghan Markle's event at Shitball Beach. We are so sorry, Australia. These two are coming in hot. Now, this troublemaker decided to do some investigative work, and I signed up for the event. I immediately received this response below. Well, I won't go into the response, but she didn't make the cut. This is somebody who is, first of all, you want to go to a ticketed event. You know what you do? You buy the ticket. You're in. For Meghan Markle, you got to fill out. You're like fucking applying for citizenship in another country. You know what I mean? Okay, this troublemaker reports back a few things. When they asked why I wanted to go, I said I like to attend women's leadership conferences and that I'd never been to Australia. I would love to visit. I'm assuming I was supposed to say something flattering about Meghan Markle, which I cannot. And that is why you are a troublemaker. They required that I submit my birthday, including year. This feels like a HIPAA violation to me. I'm 63. When I read this, I knew right away that I would be eliminated. I'm sure they only want a crowd of a certain age of women, which of course is so incredibly shallow and ageist and as short-sighted as Meghan always is and ever will be. You know who tends to have a lot of disposable income? People over 60. Fucking dumb fuck. 3, I've been in the hospitality business, specifically related to meetings, conventions. I'm in Orlando. It's big here. For close to 30 years. I have never, ever heard of any type of consumer-focused conference requiring sharing a guest room with a stranger in order to attend. Forget all of the real reasons you wouldn't do this. The biggest one that comes to mind is the liability of forcing you to room with someone you don't know who could potentially steal from you or harm you in the middle of the night. This woman's such a loser. Keep going, Meghan, please. Never stop. never stop. Hi, Maureen. I go to a teaching school where students practice hairdressing and styling on clients. A teacher told this troublemaker that she is seeing women with clumps of hair falling out. And if the women are over a certain age, the bald spot doesn't grow back. Guess what's causing this? It could be that losing a great amount of weight via a jab. Now it's in pill form. You got to be even more wary of the pill form. They're trying to make it very easy for all of us to become addicted to GLP-1s. These drug makers want customers for life. This is only one of the harrowing side effects I have heard about from people I know who have taken Ozempic or GLP-1s, and from doctors who, if you ask, will tell you the real story. Without the warning of hair loss, women and men are permanently going bald. I believe every word. I have heard the same. Dear Maureen, thank you for exposing the crazy alleged antics of one Ryan Reynolds. My cousin has the biggest heart and wants to help her friend get a cell phone plan. She said to me she was thinking of Mint Mobile. This troublemaker wised her up thanks to the nerve, and Mint Mobile will not be getting her money. Hi, Maureen. Tiger Woods deserves only the tiniest bit of sympathy. Golfers know the real story about Tiger and Earl and why Tiger is so screwed up. Bill from Brooklyn and I are going to have a chat about this later in the week, okay? In real life, this is true. I believe this, just my opinion. I agree with you, Troublemaker T. Tiger is an arrogant, cheap prick. The Mr. Nice Guy thing is an act. I wish the American public would wake up after 20 years of this. Check out the details in the unauthorized biography called Tiger Woods. I'm Amazoning this as soon as I'm done with this segment of The Nerve. Okay, so this is a small summation of Tiger, why Tiger is the fucking mess that he is. Okay, and I think Tiger is a lifer in terms of being a drug addict and a sex addict. I do. His father was named Earl. His father's later years turned the family home, according to this unauthorized bio, as a house of horrors. This is from the bio again, per this troublemaker's report. Porn on a constant loop, sex toys jammed in every drawer and cabinet, a revolving door of young women hired as assistants, but really there for favors. Staff said it felt like a rodeo. Tiger was told to get married. Now Tiger had to be a family man. And the funniest thing about this book, this troublemaker writes, is that Tiger's camp and lawyers did not push back hard against Simon & Schuster with a massive defamation threat and get the book killed. This is a fascinating, sharp, very true observation. A book like this about a living subject as famous as Tiger is, as much of a moneymaker as Tiger is, Tiger who has bottomless reserves and can hire lawyers to sue forever, didn't go after the book. Why? Maureen, you have taught me that SNS would have called in Brian Friedman, and this would have gone through months of discovery, and that would have given the book Troublemaker T, you are so right, much more oxygen than it was ever going to get. So they just had Tiger's PR team put out some tepid details or denials. Now I'm remembering this book I used as the spine for a column I wrote about Tiger, which I read a little bit from it on one of the more recent Nerves we did, because that book had some like killer quotes, like dialogue the best screenwriter could never come up with, such as Tiger, after getting caught by his wife Elin on Thanksgiving weekend with just one of like his many, many, many mistresses, telling a friend that he had to, quote, run to Zales and get a Kobe special, by which he meant a house on a ring. A Kobe special. I can hear Marlena laughing. Okay, I got to put the glasses on. Hi, Mother Maureen. Oh, I'll take it. Okay, Troublemaker from the beginning. Oh, I work in an optical shop, and we were sent these sample packs of eye drops along with pamphlets and flyers that feature our original Hate Watch star, none other than our favorite sprightly 900-year-old heroine, Sarah Jessica Parker. Now, these eye drops that she's been hawking are meant to enhance close-up vision. Wear glasses or contacts, okay? Do not fuck with your eyes. The drops have to be refrigerated. That definitely, this is somebody who works in an optical shop who's saying, those things aren't going in my eyes. People in the office tried these drops, and this troublemaker reports their eyes were burning and nobody could see for hours. How much fucking money does Sarah Jessica Parker fucking need? Oh my God. And you know what else, you guys? As discussed on our first show back on Monday's Nerve, Sarah Jessica Parker felt that it wasn't enough for this current batch of astronauts that they had gone into space, orbited the moon, seen the dark side of the moon, and then come back in one piece, their lives and psyches and souls forever altered. That wasn't enough. It wasn't complete until they received congratulations and gratitude. That is the exact word she used, gratitude, from one Sarah Jessica Parker. Can you fucking believe it? How out of her mind is this trick? She thinks that NASA, she also thinks NASA entire, that NASA doesn't feel validated until Sarah Jessica Parker, most famous for playing a slut on premium cable, has weighed in. Get out. Get out. Okay, my final troublemaker email, which I love this email. This is so smart and has so much heart. Maureen, I have been watching how Savannah Guthrie's return is being framed across the media. There is a critical piece of this story that is not being said out loud. What's being presented publicly is strength, composure, and faith. Her story isn't just a personal story. It has been reinforced in a church setting, true, and elevated as something to model, and that matters because what's not being discussed is what that messaging does to people living in unresolved grief, especially ambiguous loss. I am one of the people living in that reality. Troublemaker, I am so sorry. She writes, my son is missing. There has been no closure, no confirmation, no resolution, just ongoing uncertainty. That distinction changes everything. This is not traditional grief. It is ambiguous loss. The person is both gone and not gone at the same time, and the brain cannot resolve it. That creates a very different psychological reality. So this troublemaker says, when I see messaging framed around showing up in spite of, finding purpose in the pain, being joyful anyway, decide and do, stepping into a calling in the middle of it, I know from experience that that is not a complete picture. And for many people, that can actually become harmful if that becomes the standard. If you have ambiguous loss, your nervous system does not respond to inspiration on command. You cannot simply decide to move forward. You may feel stuck, disoriented, or unable to function the way you used to, and that is not a failure. That is the reality of unresolved uncertainty. This troublemaker says that she is not looking to participate publicly. She is sharing this because the way this is being framed has a real impact on people like me, and you are welcome to read from this message if it's helpful. I think this is very helpful. And when I see people who have no business getting book deals, and then I read an email like this, I think a book like this is very necessary in the culture. I think what you just shared is beyond important, and we are so sorry here at The Nerve for what you're going through and what you're living with. And you and anyone else in a similar situation should know that we here at The Nerve, we get you. We get it. We get you. Keep your feedback coming. Email me at Maureen@devilmaycaremedia.com or DM me on Instagram at Maureen Callahan Writer or over at The Nerve Show. And remember to subscribe to The Nerve Substack. We sent it out, a fresh one last week, even though we were on break. Go over to thenerveshow.com, sign up for our weekly email. That's what the Substack is. We've got lots of bonus content, lots of behind the scenes stuff, notes, recs, Troublemaker talk, Troublemaker art, Troublemaker feedback. Nerveshow.com. Go over there. You will see a prompt to put your email in. It's all you do. And then every Friday shows up in your inbox after the week's last full Nerve to tide you over before the mini up next. It's time to revisit the one and only psycho arsonist Ryan Reynolds at an event in New York City last week. Ryan doesn't know it, but The Nerve was in the house. We will see you in a minute. If you're one of the 30% of Americans who wake up with facial pain, toothaches, and a tight jaw from grinding your teeth at night, give Remy a try. Their custom night guards are clinically tested and FDA cleared to prevent teeth grinding, to reduce jaw tension and facial muscle strain, and to improve sleep quality. And here is what's great about Remy. Their impression kit arrives at your door. No dentist appointments. You apply 2 molds to your teeth. Takes about 10 minutes for those to set. Then you mail it back. That's it. 2 weeks later, your custom guards will arrive. It is that simple. And best of all, Remy offers the same quality night guard you would get from your dentist, but it costs 80% less. If you are ready to give Remy a try, use code NERVE for 50% off your custom night guard at shopremi.com/nerve. That's shopremy.com/nerve, code NERVE. And thank you, Remy, for sponsoring this episode. We are back. Now, Ryan Reynolds is trying to survive not just this Justin Baldoni lawsuit, but what I believe is fallout from The Nerve outing him. We have the original reporting as a psycho arsonist. When Ryan Reynolds was a teenager, he burned his elementary school in Canada down to the ground. He later said he just meant to set fire to a tree. But whoops. First of all, what kind of psychopath would set fire to a tree? It is a living thing that keeps us alive. But he probably doesn't understand photosynthesis or... Anyway, he then gave an interview to a small outlet. We have it. We've shown it on other Nerves, in which he said to an interviewer, oh, yeah, I did that. And I got away with it. And, you know, I hope some other poor schmuck isn't doing time for what I did. As The Nerve has said before, we would highly encourage the province up in Canada to go to Ryan Reynolds and say, sir, it is time for you to pay some restitution. Anyway, psycho arsonist Ryan did an event last week while we were off at City Winery in New York City. And I guess he thought it was safe to leave the house. But with The Nerve, it's never safe to leave the house because we had agents in there. He went and had a chat with the Today Show's charisma vacuum. No, not Jenna Bush Hager. No, not Chanel Jones. Willie Geist. They've got multiple charisma vacuums over there. So this event was marketed as a Sunday sit down. So it's a special taping of a Sunday sit down with Willie, who is so boring. The guy is so boring. And it was held on Tuesday, so April 7th, last week, at 7 p.m. this is the flyer. I mean, this is how like lame this thing was, you know? And Ryan's giving his best Zoolander here, his best blue steel. So the main talking points were, I could do an interview, but I would never be allowed within 10 feet of these people. Ryan and Willie asked Ryan what, here's something they have in common. This is meant to humanize Ryan. Okay, he's a psychopath. Just my opinion, Ryan Reynolds is a psychopath. Both of their fathers have Parkinson's. That's too bad. I still don't like Ryan Reynolds. I still fucking hate him. His soccer team, Deadpool. I can think of a hell of a lot more interesting things to ask Ryan Reynolds about at this moment in time, Willie. And this is why you are a cultural flatline, okay? Why did you do this? Why would you do this interview, this bullshit, this water carrying for this guy who, along with Blake Lively, we know tried to destroy Justin Baldoni's career and make it so that the guy could never work again? This guy has kids. Anyway, we decided that what we should do, we couldn't record in there, but like we were going to just ask some people who paid their good hard-earned money and their good free time that they decided would be best spent at this event if they really knew who Ryan Reynolds is. Hey, have you ever heard that he burned down his school? Here we go.
Do you know that Ryan Reynolds lit his school on fire when he was a kid?
What did he do?
He lit his elementary school on fire.
Would believe it in a hot second. Yes.
What about his character strikes you as like mischievous?
Yes. Well, he said it was all trouble. That's what he would say. They just four boys, all trouble.
Oh, so that woman says, he says it himself. He's all trouble. He's all trouble. There's like saying you're all trouble, and there's good trouble to cause, as troublemakers know. And then there's basically, when I say these people tell us who they are all the time, ladies, the guy's an arsonist. He's lucky nobody was killed, that there wasn't a janitor in there cleaning up at night. The entire elementary school had to go take classes at like the local community space. Are you fucking kidding? It's not like a cute anecdote. Now, this gentleman has another take on learning that Ryan lit his school on fire in the middle of the night. We're going to show it. That's the fire. That's the fire. Ryan likes to say he only burned down a wing, as if that would make it any better. Whole thing leveled. Here's this guy. Here we go.
Set off his school on fire when he was a kid.
We're showing them the article.
Did you guys know about that?
With the photo.
Yeah, in Canada.
Any dude who can get a woman like Blake Lively fall in love with him is okay.
So he says any guy who can get a woman like Blake Lively is okay in my book. Sir, we are trying to move the culture rightward. Blake Lively is a horrible person. She's an emotional, psychological cesspool. Anyway, it doesn't really matter because as it turns out, plenty of people there weren't interested in seeing Ryan at all. I mean, I can't explain it, but Willie Geist does apparently have a fan base. Here we go.
What made you come to the show?
Willie.
Willie, our last woman. This may be the cruelest cut for Ryan. Here we go.
Are you a big Ryan Reynolds fan? Honestly, I've never seen a single movie. I'm not a moviegoer. I'm a sports fan. I came for Willie Geist.
Never seen a single Ryan Reynolds movie. If we're all lucky, none of us ever will again. Because if the Nerve does anything in 2026, we want to kill Ryan's Hollywood career. That does it. That does it for this edition of The Nerve at Night. We are back on Friday with a full Nerve. If you have not already, go check out our Substack and subscribe over at thenerveshow.com. What are you doing with your life? Plus, Nerve merch. Grab something for yourself or a fellow troublemaker at shopthenerve.com. We will see you back here on Friday for a full episode of The Nerve, where you will never guess what we're about to say next.